Attention passionate Seattle Seahawks fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC West and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Seattle Seahawks' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Seattle Seahawks fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Seattle SEAHAWKS fans. Let's get to the news, so hold on to your hats, Seahawks fans, because the NFL offseason just keeps heating up, and there's some serious buzz about a potential blockbuster trade that could reshape the division and elevate Seattle's offensive attack to new heights. Rumors are swirling that the Cincinnati Bengals might be willing to part ways with star wide receiver T. Higgins, and if this deal goes down, it could turn the Seahawks into instant contenders for another Super Bowl run. Now, let's unpack this a little. The Bengals are currently sitting at 5-6, and sources suggest they're facing some financial constraints, specifically a cap space crunch of around $13 million. With that kind of cap pressure, Cincinnati's front office might be looking to make some tough decisions to free up funds, especially with their young star wide receiver, Ja'Marr Chase, also pending a big extension. The Bengals have a few pressing needs on their roster, like bolstering their secondary and adding more edge rushers, so trading away a high-impact receiver like Higgins could be a strategic move to prioritize their cap and roster building. But why would Cincinnati even consider giving up Higgins? Well, it's not just about cap space. Higgins is a player who embodies the vertical threat, a guy who can go up and high-point the ball like few others in the league. His ability to make contested catches and stretch defenses vertically makes him a prime target for big plays, especially in the red zone. Over his 5-year career since being drafted in 2020, Higgins has shown flashes of brilliance, with a career total of 370 receptions for over 170 yards, averaging a solid 14.1 yards per catch and more than 40 touchdowns. His metrics aren't just about the numbers. He's a high-level route runner with a PFF grade hovering around 87.9, and he's particularly effective after the catch, with an YAC yards after catch average of around 4.8 yards per reception and EPA expected points added per target of 0.22. And let's not forget his ability to come down with 55% of contested catches, making him a nightmare for defenders. In 2025, Higgins played all 11 games, hauling in 40 receptions on 70 targets for 575 yards and 7 touchdowns, with a PFF grade of 86.8. He's shown no signs of slowing down, and his presence could boost any offense, especially the Seahawks, who are eager to add explosive weapons to challenge defenses vertically. For Seattle, acquiring Higgins would mean pairing him up with DK Metcalf, creating a duo that defenses would struggle to match up against. Imagine the possibilities: Higgins stretching the field, forcing safeties back, opening up running lanes for Kenneth Walker, and giving Geno Smith another reliable target in clutch situations. Why would Cincinnati be willing to part with Higgins? Well, despite his talent, the Bengals' roster is facing some tough choices. With Chase's pending extension, Cincinnati needs to manage their cap carefully. Plus, they are still rebuilding their offensive line, which has struggled at times, and they're trying to shore up their defense with more DBs and pass rushers. Losing Higgins might reduce their aerial yards by about 20%, similar to what happened to the Dolphins after trading away Jalen Waddle's former target, Tyreek Hill, in terms of vertical threat. But from Seattle's perspective, this could be a game changer. Adding Higgins would significantly boost their aerial attack, which has been solid but could use that extra spark to push them over the top. And speaking of impact, let's talk specific numbers and what Higgins could mean for the Seahawks. If he comes to Seattle, projections suggest Higgins could rack up around 100 yards on the season, way up from the 800 yards he contributed last year. Plus, he could add around 10 touchdowns, giving Geno Smith a true red zone threat. His route efficiency would jump, with EPA per route seeing an increase of about 16%, and after-the-catch yards could rise by approximately 13%. This isn't just about adding another receiver. It's about transforming the Seahawks' offense into a more vertical, explosive unit that can challenge defenses deep and in the red zone. And that kind of threat would force defenses to double-team Metcalf more often, opening up even more opportunities for other players and mismatches across the field. A key factor here is Higgins' ability to dominate contested catches, which is crucial in tight spots, especially late in games. His high-pointing skills and physicality at the catch point make him a nightmare for defenders. Also, looking at the numbers, Higgins tends to beat defenders by an average of about 2-4 yards per route compared to other receivers and wins a significant portion of contested catches, around 55%. That kind of reliability in clutch moments can be the difference between winning and losing those close games that Seahawks fans know all too well. Now, let's consider the strategic fit. With Darnold under center at times, this season due to Geno's injury, having a reliable, vertical threat like Higgins could alleviate pressure on him and make the red zone more productive, improving red zone scoring by around 19%, boosting from 60% to nearly 79%. It would also create mismatches against defensive backs, especially considering Higgins' size, strength, and leaping ability. This offensive upgrade could be the missing piece Seattle needs to push for a deep playoff run and even contend for that elusive Super Bowl LXI. The odds of winning the title could improve significantly, with betting lines shifting from plus 800 to plus 500, reflecting increased confidence in the Seahawks' championship chances. Of course, there are skeptics. Some analysts worry about the loss of YAC, yards after catch, and the potential decrease in yards per game, which could drop by around 20%. They point out that Cincinnati might be making a short-term sacrifice for cap flexibility and roster rebuilding. But for Seattle, this trade could be a win-win, especially if Higgins adapts quickly to their system. His style of play fits perfectly with the Seahawks' vertical approach, especially with Metcalf stretching defenses and creating space for him. The Seahawks' offensive line, which has been a work in progress, would need to hold up, but with the added firepower, their chances of going deep into the playoffs would skyrocket. Looking further ahead, the impact of acquiring Higgins might not just be immediate but could set the tone for the Seahawks' future. With a potent aerial attack, the Seahawks could become one of the league's most feared passing offenses, making it even tougher for opponents to game plan. Their odds of making a Super Bowl appearance would improve, similar to the boost the Bengals experienced in 2022, when they surprised many by reaching the big game. Higgins could be that X factor, providing clutch EPA rec of around plus 0.29 and a 35% chance of making game-changing plays in critical moments. In conclusion, if this trade materializes, it could redefine the Seahawks' offensive identity and give them a serious shot at returning to the Super Bowl. The potential to add a player of Higgins' caliber, who is still in his prime and able to make game-breaking plays, would be a massive boost. It's a bold move, but one that could see Seattle leapfrog their division rivals and establish themselves as a true aerial dynasty in the NFC. And now, Seattle Seahawks fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this potential blockbuster? Would you trade a second-round pick in 2026 for T. Higgins? Do you believe this move could catapult the Seahawks to Super Bowl glory? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Seahawks. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Seattle Seahawks news.